In an effort to avoid creative stagnation, I gave myself a photography challenge the other day, which was go to the state park near me, find an owl, and get a banger wildlife photo for my website portfolio. That was it. Now before you click away, this isn't a video about birding, which I love, and quite frankly, it should be. But it got me thinking about the concept of success, generally speaking, but also in terms of photography, filmmaking, videography, anything with a camera. Because the only thing I was successful in for this photo challenge I gave myself, in not one, not two, but 3 trips to the state park in less than 24 hours, was walking through spider webs and peeling ticks off me. I did end up getting some photos and footage of 2 barred owls. Not bangers and not going on the portfolio, but good enough for social media, I suppose. Also, come on, look at these apex predators. So freaking cool. Anyways, at first I was bummed because I was unsuccessful in getting a new website portfolio piece. I failed my self-imposed challenge. But it got me thinking, what really is success in terms of photography, in terms of filmmaking? I acknowledge that everyone's definition of it will vary, and I also think that there is an Americanized influence, for lack of a better term, that kind of warps how I've always perceived success, whether it be professionally or creatively. But what I realized as I was racking up miles, lugging $20,000 of camera equipment on paths through the woods, in an absolutely magical interior forest during the Pennsylvania spring bloom, was that this process could very well have been the epitome, the quintessence of success. Not the amount of gear I own, I mean it works great for what I do, but the idea that I can get into my car in the early morning or at sunset, drive a few miles to a sprawling state park with pristine untouched woods, and I can go listen and look for birds and wildlife. Maybe getting a photo or some footage, maybe not, but I can do that. Not whenever I want, but a damn lot of the time. That's success. And that's not because I have tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars in the bank, and I'm implying I can just go do whatever I want when I want. Quite the opposite. But for now, it's because I've been extremely busy for the last 6 to 8 months, appear to have the next 4 months trending in that direction, and after almost 6 years of building my business and network up, and hustling my ass off, I've put myself into a position where my bills are paid. I'm not printing money, but the bills are paid. Would I like more, bigger budgets, more clients? Sometimes yes, and other times I'm not sure. But damn, I can go walking through the woods with my camera. I'm not trying to get all meta and philosophical here about presence, gratitude, positivity, but I mean, come on. So what about filmmaking success? Because I don't have a library of short narrative films, festival hit documentaries, and stuff like that to showcase. I have a handful of mini docs that, quite frankly, I made for YouTube years ago, and a short narrative film, almost 30 minutes short, I made with my brother and my friend based on a very successful off-Broadway immersive theater production he created in New York City. But I hope to make more and better short narrative films, and I hope to make more and better documentaries. But it won't be a payday, a festival acceptance or award, or anything like that which I'd receive to deem these future endeavors successful. I mean, they would be nice, don't get me wrong, but they would only be extra icing on the cake. Why? Because for me, almost all of my creative endeavors are process-driven. That's the key. Cue the reward is in the journey platitude, but man, is it? Process-driven passion work, to simply work on the thing, to complete the thing, is, sometimes, as good as it gets. I mean, sure, it'd be nice to get paid for it too. We all gotta pay the bills. But just to be able to work on passion work, to have put yourself in the position to have that time and freedom, whether creatively, financially, or professionally, that is success epitomized. I did another video where I talked about making this documentary about my brother, who I played in a band with. He actually passed in 2016, and I've been working on this doc since like 2018, 2021 in earnest. But for several legal reasons, I can't submit that doc to any festivals. And it was liberating when that finally sunk in, that I could work on this documentary for close friends and family in the absence of recognition and reward. Because that was when I began to see the truth, which was, again, the concept of process-driven work being its own reward. Working on it. In this case, grappling with and processing grief, completing the documentary as a veiled form of catharsis. And don't get me wrong, I've got so many other things I'm interested in and would love to create documentaries about and ultimately share that work. But if you loathe the process, only want to reap the rewards and measure its success by how many people view or like it, or its subjective acceptance or awarding by a festival, back to photography. I've had my work published in media outlets in the Philly area, done photos for professional sports teams, even got a photo published in a huge magazine, and been paid for countless photo jobs to boot. All cool for sure, but you know what's better? planning a hiking, birding, and photography trip to Newfoundland this year and having my tax guy ask me, "You're obviously booking that through your company, right?" He didn't ask me because my company is so financially successful, but because, in addition to having great credit and the financial security just to pay my bills, because that's what you do. That's one of the reasons and benefits of why I created my company. Would it be cooler to have some awesome international travel company expense my whole trip? Sure. But as it stands, something I've created allows me to travel and experience new things. Again, that's success. Now let's not get it twisted. I'm not rich. I'm not even sure if in the first 5.5 years of running my production company, I've made over 150K in all of those 5.5 years combined. I mean, I'm trending up year after year, which is good. After all, it's the small victories. But again, this Americanized version of success is liquid savings, passive income, retirement buttoned up, all those things. And those are things I hope to have someday. But lately, I've been seeing the concept of success in a different light. Again, I can walk through the woods to challenge myself creatively or just unwind and be in nature. I can book a trip and use my company to do so. A company that I created from my brain, a company built on skills that 15 years ago I had none of, and now I make money from. I mean, I make money from my camera. Like, that is insane to me. Although, as a single member LLC, it's like all the same. It's still my money and I'm still definitely paying for this trip to Newfoundland. It's not free because I purchased airfare, accommodations, and a rental car through my company. But I digress. I also have the aforementioned freedom to work on passion projects, short narrative films, documentaries, in my spare time. Things that are process-driven and win, lose, or draw. By the very act of doing, I succeed, I learn, and I grow. To just wrap this up with a slight pivot before bringing it all home, I often think about when people would ask me over the years, "What do you do?" And I would kind of do this humble brag and say, "Well, I toured all over the US and Europe in a punk band until a few years ago, but for the last 10 plus years, I manage a jiu-jitsu school where I've been training for over 18 years. And then about 6 years ago, I started my own filmmaking and photography production company." It's like the look I would get from touring in a band, from the 18 years of jiu-jitsu, from starting a company. The look was, "Wow, that's incredible. You must be a beacon of success." But man, I don't think I made more than $1,500 in over 8 years of touring all over the US and Europe. Seriously, jiu-jitsu, yeah, I got a black belt a few years back and I love training, but it destroys my body and is its own headache as a business. But as far as part-time jobs go to make a couple extra bucks on nights and weekends, nothing better. And as far as starting my own company, like, I got shingles in my late 30s, literally like 2 years ago, from crippling panic attacks and abject depression because of financial stress. Shingles. It was that bad. The financial stress and the state of my company 2.5 to 3 years after starting was that bad. But you know what? With all those things in mind, I got to tour. I got to perform and play drums all over the world doing something I loved. I get to train and teach and get better every day in martial arts, something I always wanted to do since I was a little kid. And I get to create things with a camera, and hell, even get paid to do so. In a world, or at least a country, where success is often defined by a dollar amount, a results-oriented mindset, man, I'll enjoy the process-driven love of the art all day, every day. All right, thanks for listening to me wax philosophical if you stuck around this long. Obligatory, please hit that subscribe or like button. The interaction does definitely help as I continue this journey, but that's it. Peace.